Welcome to Sunday Springboard with Melanie and Kimberlyn Coaching, where we help women become confident and thrive after toxic relationships. I want to help you not just overcome, not just survive, not just recover from a toxic relationship. I want to help you be better afterwards than you were before. I read about people saying, oh, I just feel so broken, I feel so lost. I feel like I can never get back to what I was before. And I read people say, I'm too broken, we're all too broken, we're all too changed, we can never get back to where we were. Maybe you can't get back to where you were, but I think that I know that you can not only get back to where you were, but you can get back to better than you were before. I am proof positive that this is possible, and I would love to help you get to where you are what we call anti-fragile. We've mentioned that before, but to be not just where you were before, because where you were before made you vulnerable for this toxic abusive relationship. I want you to be better than before. I want you to be happy in yourself, and I believe I can help you do that. Watch my videos if you think you want to do one-on-one coaching where we can really dig deep in there and figure out what is stopping you from getting to where you want to be. Then we can talk about having a coaching relationship. But meanwhile, I want to share my screen with you for today's talk. We've been talking about narcissists, and we can talk about this forever, and I guess we're going to, or at least for a while, because there's just so much information I'm going to tell you about it. And we started last week the cycle of abuse. Round and around we go. Stop this merry-go-round. I want to get off. But it doesn't seem that way at first, does it? At first, it's just so beautiful and so romantic. Who doesn't love a good Hallmark show? The sunset and the boy and the girl and this person that we have met. I keep talking about men and women, but we know that the women are the narcissists also. So if you're a man here suffering, please know that I know that you're out there. But for the most part, most narcissists are men. But anyway, so we met this guy, and he's so wonderful and sweet, kind and good and loving, and everything that we wanted, everything that we dreamed of. It's just like a dream come true. It's too good to be true, right? And unfortunately, that is true. It is too good to be true. So we've got a cycle of abuse that is going to come about eventually. Now, right now, maybe you're still in the love bombing state. This is called the idealized phase of this relationship. And so they've got you up on a pedestal, and they're treating you so good and wonderful, and you're a princess and you're a queen, and you can't do anything wrong, and they're buying you things. And we talked about this last week. If you didn't watch last week's video, go to my YouTube channel or my YouTube channel or the Facebook group, and you can watch the past ones where we talk more in depth on the love bombing. But here's such an important thing. This love bombing stage, if this is true, and we talked about how, maybe you're in a truly in love thing, and we talked about some steps to help you decide if you are, but if this is truly love bombing, this is not who they are. This is who they're pretending to be. That is so important, because I hear women talk about, I just want them to get back to the person that I fell in love with. That person you felt in love with does not exist. The person you fell in love with is a mask, a persona. And when they start off with this is a lot of hard work, because they're not being their self. And if you've been in this situation, I'm sure, in a relationship where you did not feel comfortable being yourself, and it's hard work keeping up that mask. We all want to be in a relationship where we can actually be who we truly are and be loved for who we truly are. Unfortunately, the narcissist doesn't have any empathy. So if they show who they truly are, they know that we're not going to stick around long. So at first they're doing the love bombing, but as they get tired and as they start to hook us, maybe we get married, maybe you're living together, whatever reason, they think that they've got you, they've got your full attention, your full 100% focus, but it gets tiring, and they get tired. And then also, as you move along in your relationship, you don't spend 100% of your attention on this person. This is normal. In a normal relationship, this is fine. You may give them, I mean, you probably give them a majority of your attention, but you do other things. You have your children, you have your work, you have your hobbies, you have your girlfriends. And this is all part of a normal relationship. This is not okay to a narcissist. They want 100%. So they may feel like you're not giving them all they want. And so then you're going to move into this next stage called devaluation. They're not valuing you and what you give them anymore. And during this stage, they throw off that mask. They throw off that persona, and you start to see who they really are. But you're not realizing who they really are. You're hoping the old person will come back. We're going to look at this in two ways. First, we're going to talk about the devaluation phase from the abuser's side, and then we're going to talk about it from the victim side. So the abuser is going to start being manipulative. Now, like I said, he's already drawn you in, but he's not getting as much as he wants from you. He's not getting your attention, your devotion quite as much. You know, you're kind of starting to calm down, and all that infatuation is slowing down a little bit. So he's going to start to be manipulative because he still always wants to get what he wants. It's going to be subtle at first. Maybe you do something a little bit wrong, a little bit this or that. They don't want, they'll start insulting you, maybe some name calling, some belittling. At first, it's going to be kind of under the radar. It's just going to be a little, though. They might first focus on running down your family or your friends. Okay, they're going to start making comments about them. They may start withholding affection from you, physical or emotional. Maybe you're in public, maybe they might make a little fun of you, make a little joke at your expense, and then they may play down your achievements. Maybe you came home and you said, hey, look, I got this raise at work, or got this compliment, and it's no big deal because it's not for them, right? If something is not building them up, they really don't care. And at first they're pretending to care, but they're not pretending anymore. So as it moves on, they're going to start trying to isolate you from your friends. They're going to, like I said, withhold affection. They're going to start to deceive you. Something will happen and you're going to, why did you say that? And they're going to say, I didn't say that. Or why did you do that? I didn't do that. They're going to do this or that or this or that. And you ask them about it and they're going to lie to you. And they don't care if they lie. They don't care if you get mad or upset at them. All they care is that you're giving them their supply. Now they're going to, as I said before, they're going to try to isolate you from your family so they can get their claws in you deeper. If you've got your family and your family is seeing how they're treating you, they're going to start saying, hey, he's not treating you right. And you're going to feel defensive, but you might have someone to help you get a reality check. He doesn't want this for you. He wants you to be dependent solely on him. So as I said, they're going to withhold the affection, and because you're so needy. Remember, we've talked about this before. You may really need this. Then your withholding the affection will get you to come back around. Whatever it was you were doing that was a little off, it's going to get you to come back. They may start, eventually they're going to start being verbally abusive to you. They're going to insult you. They're going to blame you and shame you and accuse you. They're going to threaten you and guilt trip you and withhold these things from you so that you're doing exactly whatever it is they want. I heard someone this morning talk about her second husband, how she was so happy that he did not get mad when she stopped up the drain with the potato peelings. He just got in and fixed it for her. She found that so weird because her first husband would have thrown a fit and been angry. This is how the narcissist does. They start having raves. They start being aggressive. They start being sarcastic in front of you. They might start withholding money from you. They may be very controlling of your money. And maybe when y'all started moving in or getting married, you put all of your finances together, and now they put a big clamp on this. At first, they were all giving it all, and now they're starting to clamp down on this because they want the control. They'll do whatever it takes to get the control, to put you in submission if you're starting to come out of it a little bit. They might become aggressive. They may rage at you. They may to shock you into being the submissive woman that you started off being. But because it's easy to be submissive to someone who's kind and loving and good. But as they start to show themselves, it becomes harder. And you'll do one of two things. You'll either start becoming more submissive and lose yourself and this will crush your self-esteem, your self-worth. You feel like you can't ever do anything right. You can't win for losing. And it may crush you to the point that you feel like you can't even leave the relationship. Or it may go the other way and you might start feeling like that you deserve better than this, you don't like this, and you start standing up for yourself, and then they're going to start coming back with all the abusive stuff. They'll be the most abusive if you start standing up for yourself, and it may even, the worst case, move into physically abusive. As we've said before, if there's physical abuse, your number one thing is you've got to get out, get yourself safe, get your children safe. There is no margin of trying to hope things will get better if there's physical abuse. Now let's talk about it from your viewpoint, from the victim's viewpoint. Now during this stage, it's very common to make excuses. Oh, he's not feeling well today. He had a hard day at work. This is not his normal self, right? In your mind, this is not who they are. In your mind, they're acting differently than who they are. This is a key thing you have to learn, is that this is actually who they are. If you can ever get that for real, then you can start making real changes and moving forward. If you keep thinking this is not who they are, I want them to go back to who they are, that's going to keep you stuck. Now, one of the reasons you're going to make excuses and you're going to justify their behavior is because you fell in love with them. You believe in them. You feel like they have a good heart. Also, as this goes along, even though they're starting to show you their true self, if you start to get a little bit antsy about it, they may throw a little love bombing in, just enough to keep you hooked, just enough to keep you going. And this makes you just feel so confused. You're just, I don't get this. This doesn't make sense. He was so good and perfect and wonderful, and now he's like Dr. Hyde, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It feels truly like that. But in your heart, you're thinking the Mr. Hyde is who they really are, and or no, Dr. Jekyll is who they really are, but it's really Mr. Hyde is who they truly are. So this is going to keep you confused, and usually this works. This keeps you going for a while. As you're doing this, as they throw in that little bit of love bombing, this makes you willing to ignore the red flags. You keep getting them, but you keep shoving them under the rug. The problem is, as they're doing this, they're devaluing you. They don't value you, and they make you start devaluing yourself, and you devalue your own internal GPS that's telling you, danger, 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 Will Robbins, danger, Will Robbins. And we think there's something wrong with the robot. They're not really telling us the truth. They use a lot of tactics, manipulative tactics that we will actually look into later. You may have heard of gaslighting, and they'll accuse you of being crazy. Can't believe you would even accuse me of this. They'll do all kind of things to throw you off, keep you in confusion, keep the focus off of them and onto you, so that you'll stick around. They want, for them, when they say they love you, they mean you love them. You're taking care of them. You're making them feel good. You're making them look good. You're doing all these things for them. And that's what their idea of love is. But as this goes on, you start doubting your sanity. You feel like you're living in a fog. You feel like you can't do anything right. And you're always walking on eggshells. Don't want to make him mad at me. Don't want him to be upset at me. You're losing your self-esteem, and you're just, the eggshell thing is a really good description of it, because you're just careful. I don't want to say anything at the wrong time. If you do say something, they use the tactics to make you think you're crazy. Now, as this moves on, it keeps on going. They eventually stop seeing worth at all in the relationship with you. And this phase is called the discard. They are going to discard you in the relationship in one way or another. Now, they may not actually physically move out of your home. They may just start having affairs. And then if you catch them in an affair, they could do one of several things. They could just deny it, or they could say, who cares? You just need to deal with it. They may want you to just ignore it and be okay with it. Or if you If you're like, hey, no way, I'm out of here, then they may start the next phase, which is hoovering. But whichever way, at this point, when they start discarding you, they've already devalued you, they're discarding you, they're moving on to their next victim, what we call their next, they need a new supply. You are not giving them the supply that they need. Maybe they got a lot of buzz from getting you. Remember we said that they look for intelligent women, and maybe you've got money, maybe you've got prestige, and this made them feel like a big deal that they were able to get you. And maybe the chase excited them, and that now they got you. It's like, well, now I got it. What's the big deal? They don't feel the same sense of high that they had when they were chasing you. So at this point, that rug that you were shoving those red flags under, it could be ripped right up from under you. You can be discarded like an old pair of holy socks, and you can be replaced with an upgraded model, what they need for their ego. Remember, they're always having to get outside validation for their worth. They have none within themselves. If the relationship ends, several different things can happen. Now, maybe they just leave you and they move on to the new supply. As sad and terrible as that feels like, if that's what happens for you, you are the lucky one. Those are the ones that are better for you to move on and be able to recover and get better than you were. That is not what always happens. Many times they, especially if you are the one that decides to leave, they decide to get revenge on you. Or if they decide, maybe they are leaving you, but maybe they decide that you have caused this. You are the reason. Remember, you're always the reason anything has gone wrong. They're always going to blame everything on you. So they may think that you have not suffered enough for you to cause this. And then if you have children together, then they may continue to use those children to hurt you and manipulate you. And remember that they have no empathy, so they do not care if they're causing the children to suffer also. Now, if you're, like I said, if you're able to, if at this point they're the one leaving, you're actually in better shape. If you are the one who has to leave, then there's no telling what they're going to do. Now, one, they could go ahead and move on and get revenge on you in every way. There are stories, I can tell you the stories of how narcissists have treated their mate who has decided to leave. But they also may decide to do what we call hoovering. Hoover is like a vacuum cleaner. They try to suck you back in. Hoovering is like love bombing again. So they go back to the love bombing. They go back to loving you. They're so sorry. They're crying. They're begging. They're pleading. Oh, please take me back. I'll never do this again. They do the future faking. We'll go on a weekend. Let's go away for a weekend. We'll get our relationship back in order. They're begging. They're crying. They're doing all this kind of stuff to woo you back. Many times women fall for this and they get wooed back because we want to believe they're changing. We want to believe that they're going back to who they were. We believe in forgiveness. We believe in second chances. This is not something saying that we're weak or bad. It's just the kind of people that we are, and we don't want to give up on a relationship if there's any chance. Because what we think is, well, maybe they really are changing. Maybe they really are. If it's a narcissist, they are probably not. But if it's the first time around, you may have to go through this whole cycle once or twice before you actually start to realize they are not going to change. And if you do, that's okay. Whatever it takes, it takes. But if you know this stuff, you can arm yourself, and maybe you don't have to do the cycle so many times. Now, if they do this hoovering, but you're not falling for it, and you're still getting out, or you're still this or that, then they're going to move into the more angry manipulation. They're going to yell at you, guilt trip you, threaten you. If you're a Christian, they're going to throw the Bible at you. They may have your elders or your preacher or some people from your church come and talk to you and tell you how terrible you are, that you're breaking up this marriage. And many times these guys look wonderful on the outside. So your friends and family, or especially people who are just acquaintances, they may look at this and think you got this most wonderful marriage. What are you doing? You're crazy. He looks so perfect. And they aren't going to understand what you've been through. You may be able to explain it to them and you may not, but they're going to do everything they can to pull you back in. They don't care if you really love them or not. They just want you to come in and keep doing what you were doing before, taking care of them. Another thing they might do is, if you have children together, they may not be wanting to lure you back into their life, but maybe they're wanting something. Like if court is coming up, then they're going to start luring you. Maybe they're trying to get child support to be lowered, or maybe they're trying to, maybe they're behind on their child support and they don't want you to take them to court, or maybe they're wanting some more time with the children or whatever. They're doing this to manipulate you to do something that they want you to do. Once you fall for it and you come back in, what do you think happens? You go right through the cycle again. So we started with love bombing, devalued, you're discarded, they hoovered you back in, and as soon as they get you back in, then you're back up here in devalue, you're back up here in this cycle, and you end up doing what my Al-Anon sponsor used to always tell me: you're on that hamster wheel. You're just going round and round, and nothing is ever going differently. So, there we are. I hate my life, sorry about that. We're back at that state of, how can I have been so stupid? When you've been doing that cycle a few times, you start realizing, I'm falling for this again. And it's so hard to get past this state of, how could I have been so stupid? How could I trust myself again? I want to remind you, narcissists often target highly intelligent women, powerful women, because this gives them the bigger buzz. To be able to own a powerful woman is a much bigger deal than someone who they would consider as weak. Also, we tend to be very kind people. We're patient, we're loving, we're forgiving. We believe in giving second chances. We're long-suffering, and we're giving people. These are wonderful characteristics, but if we don't learn to set boundaries around that, then we're able to be taken advantage of. Another thing is, if you grew up in an abusive home where you saw people who were abusing each other, hollering at each other, name calling, being mean to each other, at the same time that they're saying they love each other, it may not seem off at all for you for someone to say they love you and abuse you at the same time. I gotta tell you, it's not. Abuse and love don't go together. If someone is abusing you, they're not loving you for whatever reason. Maybe they're caught up in their addiction. Maybe they're caught up in whatever, but they don't go together. It is not normal. It is not okay. Some of us have low self-esteem. We think, I'm never going to be loved. No one would ever love me. They feel like I have no worth if I don't have a man. I have to have someone to complete me. I'm not enough on my own. And because we're so needy, again, we're vulnerable to this kind of man who doesn't love us. He just wants to use us. And then, of course, like we said before, the love bombing, even if you do have healthy self-esteem and all that, the love bombing is hard to resist unless you have some knowledge beforehand, which now you're getting that knowledge, and now you should be able to make some judgments about how to determine if you're being love bombed in a new relationship. So don't let this kind of relationship make you feel stupid, make you think that you can never trust yourself again. So then what about if you right now are in this cycle? I'm in this cycle. I've already been love bombed. I'm in the devalue. I'm in the discard. I'm being hoovered. Whatever. I'm in this cycle. What do I do? These are just a few surface on the top things. This is not an easy situation to get out of. I'm just going to tell you that. But first of all, the first thing you do is just do research. First of all, just determine, is this a situation? Is this abuse? Is this a narcissist? You don't have to have a term, if they don't fit easily into it, but are you being abused? You may have to talk to a person to help you determine this, but there's a lot of research, a lot of videos and podcasts you can watch, books you can read. Obviously, I would love to help you on any of this. All of these steps that I'm going to give you can be more powerful if you do them with a person. Determine what stage you're in. Are you in the middle of being love bombed? If you're at the start, you may be able to run fast, run far before you've gotten sucked in. Now, if you've already in the cycle, maybe you're married, maybe you have children, but you're in the devalued or the discard or maybe if you're in that cycle, then it's not so easy to get out of. Maybe maybe you have children, and so you can't just pick up and leave. So once you decide what stage you're in, then decide what you want. Maybe some women don't, with their children are younger, they don't want to, that they feel so much that this man is dangerous that they don't want to move out and have to let their children be with the man half the time. So if you feel like you have to stay with him, or maybe you have a feeling of commitment with your faith or your beliefs, or whatever reason that you believe you need to stay in this relationship, how can you keep in it and be sane? How can you keep in it and keep yourself safe? There are some ways to help yourself. I don't think you're ever going to be really happy if you stay in it, but sometimes being happy is not the very top value that we have. There may be some other things that are more important. How can we be as happy as possible and sane? If you decide that you want to get out, you want to move on, then you're going to have to plan a strategy. You can't just up and leave if you're in a marriage and you're living with them. Now, if you're just girlfriend, boyfriend, and you're not, maybe you can. But if you've got everything tangled up in your finances and all that things, you're going to have to plan a strategy. And you're going to have to do it step by step. Again, would love to visit with you if you are in any of these spots you want to talk through this. There's a link in the show notes. You can schedule a free coaching session, consult. We can kind of line out what you would need to do to get started and determine if this is a good time for you to have coaching and if we would be a good fit to coach with each other. Meanwhile, I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a non-abusive week. I hope you have a week full of joy and peace, and I will talk to you next week.